exploring if humanity can thrive beyond Earth. The journey from our moon to the red planet, Mars. Constructing habitats in the vast expanse of the cosmos. Fostering unity amidst the stars and galaxies. A future of endless possibilities for mankind.
What if you could turn any prompt into a short video automatically? Well, today we're building an agentic app that does exactly that using AutoGen 0.4 and later versions. Microsoft's release is packed with new features, and whether you're just getting started or keeping up with updates, you'll see just how easy it is to build a powerful AI workflow using AutoGen. Later in the video, we'll even connect one of the agents to a local large language model, so stick around. Oh, and by the way, there's been some drama behind the scenes. AutoGen has now split into two versions, one maintained by Microsoft and another one called AG2, maintained by the original creators. I covered the full story in another video, and I'm going to keep the link in the description if you want to know more, but today we're just keeping the focus on AutoGen, which is the Microsoft version. Alright, let's pop the hood and take a look at the framework. The AutoGen ecosystem has three key components: developer tools, apps, and the framework itself. In this video, we're zooming in on the framework, which has three main layers. Core. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. It handles agent communication and other essential features that power the entire framework. Agent chat is built on top of Core, and this layer provides patterns for predefined agents, teams, and more. Now, don't worry about this too much because you're going to see it in action soon, and it's going to become much clearer in practice. And finally, extensions. This layer enables LLM support like OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, local models using tools like Ollama, and code execution. You can also integrate vector databases, LangChain, and other tools by using existing extensions or building your own. Now, the good thing about this architecture is its flexibility. We can use high-level tools like Magentic 1 for quick prototyping. And yeah, it's Magentic and not magnetic. Or we can tap into the Core API for fine-tuned control. Plus, prototyping tools like Studio help streamline testing and debugging, making the entire ecosystem more accessible. I think that AutoGen hits that sweet spot where it's easier to use than low-level frameworks, but gives you more control than the high-level ones. Okay, let's kick this off by opening the terminal. First, I'm going to create a virtual environment, and I'm going to do Python 3 -m venv venv. Then I'm going to say source venv bin activate. Now this creates a virtual environment which keeps dependencies isolated, and that's going to help us in preventing version conflicts, and it's going to make it easier to share or recreate the setup later if we want to. Now I'm going to install the required packages. So let's do pip install -u AutoGen agent chat, and we're going to grab the OpenAI extension. So I'm going to say AutoGen extension OpenAI. Now, just a quick note here. If you've used AutoGen 0.2 or earlier, you'll notice that I'm using AutoGen agent chat now, not the old PyAutoGen package. And that's because the PyAutoGen package is now maintained by the AG2 team instead of Microsoft, which is a different framework altogether now. Now, if you want to use the Azure OpenAI, for example, go for the AutoGen Azure extension. Okay, let's create a .env file and install the python.env package by doing touch.env. Then we'll do pip install python.env. All right, so quick recap. Agents are code components that can run tasks independently. They often need tools, basically Python functions, to perform specific actions like making API calls, querying databases, or processing data. Now let's create our main.py file. So I'm going to do touch main.py. A super fast way to understand how things work in AutoGen is to quickly grab and go through this example from the official docs. So let's do that. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste. I'm just going to get our OpenAI API key out of the way. So I'm going to open the .env file and enter the following: OpenAI API key, and you're going to need to grab your OpenAI key from the OpenAI platform and paste it here. Then we need to load the API key from the env file. So I'm going to do import OS, and then from .env, import load.env. then we're just going to call load.env. All right, now let's break down this demo code step by step. It first defines model client, which tells the assistant which model to use. Again, now we're using OpenAI models, but later in the video, we're going to set up Ollama and use something else. Then it includes a simple function, getWeather, which just returns a placeholder weather response. Normally, this would call an API for real weather data. Next, the assistant is created using assistant agent, passing in a name as the first parameter, followed by model client, which, as we saw earlier, defines the model. An optional list of tools is also included. Here, getWeather is provided. This allows the assistant to fetch the dummy weather information whenever it needs to. You see how easy this is so far? Cool. Next, a termination rule is set with the keyword terminate, meaning that the chat will stop when this text appears. Everything is then placed into a round-robin group chat team. In this case, there's only one agent, but more could be added. You'll see this later in the video when we work with a more complex setup. The termination condition is then passed to ensure the chat knows when to stop. And finally, the conversation starts by asking about the weather in New York, and then the response is streamed to the console. Okay, we're good to go. Let's run this example and see if it works. So I'm going to do Python 3 main.py. Okay, so first, as you can see, the user is asking what's the weather in New York. So then the assistant picks this query up, and then it decides to call a function because it knows that we're asking about the weather, and it knows that it has a function or a tool that basically gets the weather. So it passes in the arguments. In this case, it's location. So it extracts the city from the string parameter, and it passes it to getWeather. And then, as you know, the getWeather function is just taking in the location and it's adding that city into the predefined string, which is going to be the weather in New York is sunny. It's actually going to be whatever city we pass is going to be sunny. So this is our dummy data. And then this value within content here is returned to the user. So as you can see, the weather in New York is sunny. And then we have the terminate string because the job is done. So there's nothing more to do. Okay, cool. You now have a pretty good idea about how the assistant agent works. Now, obviously that's a very basic example, but we're going to kick it up a notch and make some changes. Now I'm going to go back to the code and I'm going to give this agent a completely new job. No more weather stuff. Instead, it's going to become a talented script writer tasked with converting any prompt into a story made up of 5 short captions, which we'll use to build our shorts style video. All right, so first I'm going to change the name of this agent and I'm going to call it script writer. Next, we're going to keep the model client the same, so we're still going to be using OpenAI. And then we're just going to add a system message, which essentially gives the assistant some initial context and instructions on how it should behave. This will help it respond as a script writer. So let's say system message equals you are a creative assistant tasked with writing a script for a short video. The script should consist of captions designed to be displayed on screen with the following guidelines. 1. Each caption must be short and impactful, no more than 8 words to avoid overwhelming the viewer. 2. The script should have exactly 5 captions, each representing a key moment in the story. 3. The flow of captions must feel natural, like a compelling voiceover guiding the viewer through the narrative. 4. Always start with a question or a statement that keeps the viewer wanting to know more. 5. You must also include the topic and takeaway in your response. And finally, the caption values must only include the captions, no additional metadata or information. Now, obviously, you can change this message to whatever your use case is, but keep in mind that this kind of structure, like clear instructions and even templates within your system message, will help your agent come up with better answers. So I'm also going to explicitly specify the output format directly within the system prompt like this. I'm going to say output your response in the following JSON format. And I'm going to say topic, takeaway, and a list of captions. Now, there's a nicer way of doing this, and I'll show you how it's done when we set up our local LLM in a few minutes. Okay, so that's everything for the script writer. We're not going to be using any tools for this one, but next we're going to create our voice actor agent, and this one will use a tool which will take in our captions and then convert it into speech. So I'm going to do voice actor equals assistant agent We're going to call it voice actor, and we're going to use the same model client. Then we're going to pass in tools equals generate voiceovers, and we're just going to implement this in a few seconds. Next, I'm going to say system message. You are a helpful agent tasked with generating and saving voiceovers. Only respond with terminate once files are successfully saved locally. Now, obviously for this to work, we'll need to implement the tool generate voiceovers, and we'll use the 11 Labs text-to-speech function to generate the voiceovers. You're going to need an API key. You can sign up for free using the link in the description, and you'll get a few tokens to start experimenting. Now, you can obviously use any other service provider. Even OpenAI, they have their own text-to-speech service, so you can use that. But I just found that the 11 Labs voices kind of sound more natural. So we're going to go with this. Now, once you grab your API key, add it to your .env file, just like we did with the OpenAI key. Then we're going to need to install the 11 Labs Python package by running pip install 11 Labs. All right, after that's done, I'm going to say el client equals 11 Labs, and then I'm going to pass in API key, OS, and then we're going to grab the 11 Labs API key. All right, cool. Now I'm going to write the generate voiceover tool. And I'm just going to paste the code for this one and go over what's happening. So basically this tool takes in a list of messages, which are our captions that the previous agent provided. So our scriptwriter is going to pass the 5 captions that it created to our voice actor. And then the voice actor is going to use this tool to talk to 11 Labs so that it can generate the voiceovers for each one of the captions. Finally, the tool returns a list of generated audio files. Okay, so as you can see, there's a voice ID parameter here that's required. And to get one, you just need to go to 11 Labs, and then you can click on voices, select the preferred voice, just copy its ID from the view button right here. So you can click here, click copy, and you're good to go. Okay, next, we're going to add a graphic designer to generate the visuals for each of the captions. So let's do graphic designer, assistant agent. I'm going to give it a name, so that's going to be graphic designer. And then we're going to also use the same model client, and we're going to use one tool, which is generate images, and a system message. And this is going to be, you are a helpful agent tasked with generating and saving images. Convert each caption into an optimized prompt for image generation. So basically what I want this agent to do is to take the original prompt, the original caption, and then convert that into an optimized prompt so that the image generation model kind of, the more information you give it is just going to create a better image. Just passing in the caption won't yield such a good output when compared to an optimized prompt. So we're saying convert each caption into an optimized prompt for image generation, and then prompts must be concise and maintain style consistency. And then I'm saying include, a specific color style and, sketch style drawings in each of the prompts. So this will be appended to each optimized prompt so that all of the images kind of look consistent. And then we're going to do the same thing here, only respond with terminate once files are saved locally. Now let's implement the generate images tool, and I'm using Stability AI to convert our captions to images. So we'll need to do the same thing here as we did for 11 Labs. You can sign up using the link in the description, and you also get some free credits to test the models. Now after you grab your API key, we're going to need to add it to our .env file and implement the function. And with Stability, I'm not going to use any SDK here. We're just going to use the Stability AI RESTful API. And we need to pass in, with every request, the bearer token, which is essentially the API key. So I'm going to paste the function, and we'll just go through it like we did before. As you can see, this function takes a list of prompts and generates images using the Stability AI API. It first ensures that an images directory exists. Then it loops through the prompts, sending each one to the API for image generation. Now, if that's successful, the generated image is saved locally as a WebP file. Okay, now we're going to do our final assistant, and this guy is going to coordinate everything and mix our voiceovers, images, and captions into one final video. So we're going to call this agent director, and I'm going to say director equals assistant agent. We're going to call it director, like I said, and then we're still going to be using OpenAI GPT-4o and one tool, generate video, and a system message. So we're kind of repeating the same thing, but obviously each agent has access to a specific tool and is kind of customized to do one task. Now you can obviously implement one agent with many tools. I tried to do this, but I found more success whenever I kind of set every agent with a specific, well-defined task, especially if each one of them has a very custom or specific role. So you're probably going to end up with a more successful workflow if you set it up like this. But anyway, you can try it either way and just let me know how that goes in the comments below. Okay, so we're going to say you are a helpful agent tasked with generating a short video. Using provided captions, create the final video, and then only respond with terminate once the video is saved locally. Okay, so the generate video tool handles collecting images and voiceover files, creating individual clips with formatted text, then combining clips into a single video, and then it's going to mix voiceovers with background music. Now for the background music, we're not generating anything. Instead, I just downloaded a track that I like, and I'm mixing it in with the generate video. So it's going to mesh everything together, including the background music. Now, obviously, you can implement another agent, which would be a composer, for example, and then that's going to talk to another API where you can generate a custom soundtrack for this topic or for your captions, and then you're going to be able to put everything together if you want to. But just to keep it simple, I have a track and I'm just adding it within the generate video tool so that it uses this with the final output. Okay, we're also doing some fade effects and finalizing the MP4 so it's ready for us. Now to keep this video short, I'm not going to be going over the generate video function code right now, but I'm going to add everything on my blog, gettingstarted.ai. So if you want to grab the code, you can go there, sign up, it's free, and then you're going to have access to everything you see in this and other videos on my channel. Okay, now I'm going to do termination equals text mention termination, terminate. And then I'm going to create our AutoGen team, which is going to be made up of our agents that we just created. So I'm going to say agent team equals round robin group chat, scriptwriter, voice actor, graphic designer, and director. And then I'm going to say max turns equals 4. Then termination condition, we're going to pass in the termination that we just created. The round robin group chat ensures each agent takes one turn in sequence. And with max turns 4, each agent gets to speak once before concluding. We're also using a text termination condition, which is this terminate string here that stops when an agent responds with terminate. So we're almost done. I'm just going to do one more thing so we can test this out in our terminal. And I'm going to say while true, user input, we're going to take the input, so whatever we enter, and then we're just going to check if the input is exit so we can break out of this loop. Then I'm going to say stream equals agent team run stream, and then I'm going to pass in the user input as the task. So basically we're just passing whatever the user types in the terminal to the agent team. Okay, so that's going to be our input. And then we're just logging the output from the team. So essentially we're going to start the app from the terminal. It's going to say enter a message, and then you can enter a topic essentially, and that's going to go to the scriptwriter first. It's going to generate the captions, and then it's going to pass the captions to the other team members until we have everything ready and good to go. Okay, so let's run this. In the terminal, I'm going to do python3 main.py. Then let's create a tourism ad for a beautiful island. So let's do a tourism ad for a beautiful island. And then I'm going to press return. So first, as you can see, our scriptwriter came up with this list of captions, which is good. And then the next agent is going to take over the list, and it's going to generate the voiceovers first. So as you can see, we have the voiceovers coming in one by one. Next, when that's done, our graphics are going to come in. So we're going to call the Stability AI API here. And then for each caption, we're generating this optimized string or optimized prompt, and then we're saving every image as they come in. So once that's done, our director is then going to mesh everything together. And as you can see, everything is coming together right here. Again, if you want to grab the source code of the generate video tool, make sure to check the description. I'm going to post a link to my blog once the post is available.
Dreaming of an island escape? Crystal clear waters await you. Explore vibrant marine life. Relax on sun-kissed shores. Create memories that last forever.
So, either that or you could do your own implementation to suit your needs. In any case, you're going to find the link in the description once the post is available. Cool. Okay, so now we're just going to do a tiny change to our script writer and we're going to connect it to Ollama. Now I'm going to assume that you're familiar with how Ollama works and you set it up on your machine. If you haven't, check out its website, get the latest version, download it, and then set up any LLM that you like. If you haven't worked with Ollama before, I recently published a video that's super short, 4 minutes, but it should get you set up and running in no time. So check it out. Link also in the description. Or I don't know if this is going to work, but you can press here and you should be able to view that video. So I'm going to do model client and I'm going to change this. I'm going to say OpenAI chat completion client and I'm going to say model Llama 3.2 latest. And this is the model that I have set up within Ollama. Now you can have multiple models running so you can choose whichever one you want. And then I'm going to say API key equals, so I'm just going to add in placeholder, which is, you can add anything, it doesn't matter. Next, I'm going to say base URL, and this is the endpoint that Ollama exposes by default. Now, the port may change on your machine if the default one is already in use. Just make sure to check out which port is available for Ollama, and then you can use that. So for me, it's HTTP localhost 11434/v1. Okay, so next we're going to do model info equals function calling true, JSON output true, vision false, and family unknown. Now these are required fields. If any of them doesn't exist in your model info, it's not going to work. Okay, now our script writer won't be using GPT-4o anymore. Instead, it's going to connect to Ollama and use Llama 3.2 latest. Cool. Now I'm going to run this and see if everything works. All right, so I'm going to do Python 3 main.py. Okay, so I'm going to do the same prompt just like we did before. It's going to be a tourism ad for a beautiful island. Okay, so if you want to use a local model instead of paying OpenAI for GPT-4 access, you can do that super easy with AutoGen. Just implement this change within your agent and you're good to go. Now, one last thing that I want to show you is the response format parameter. So if we add in response format script output, and then we define script output. So I'm going to say topic string, takeaway string, captions, list of strings. Okay, so next I'm going to go to the system message and I'm going to delete this part. So I'm not going to say output your response in the following JSON format. That's because we passed in the script output in the response format. So now AutoGen knows that the response needs to be like we defined it with the class script output. So we can delete this, run this again, and I'm going to say the same thing. So a tourism ad for a beautiful island, hit return. All right, as you can see, we have exactly the same output type as before. But now, instead of specifying this explicitly in our system prompt, we can just delete this part and pass in a class to our response format parameter, and then the agent would know that it needs to return any output that it generates in the following format. Okay, awesome. If you found this tutorial helpful, consider subscribing for more and make sure to let me know what you think about this video by dropping a comment below. Now, if you want to super support this channel, make sure to join and become a member right now. Okay, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.